You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. These words from Marcus Aurelius hold as much truth today as they did centuries ago. In a world filled with distractions, uncertainties, and pressures, emotions can feel like an unstoppable force, pulling us in different directions. One moment, everything seems fine. The next, frustration, anxiety, or anger takes over. The ability to control these emotions is what separates those who are constantly overwhelmed from those who navigate life with calm and clarity. And this is where Stoicism offers a powerful approach. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions or becoming indifferent. It's about understanding them, mastering them, and ensuring they serve rather than control you. Developed over 2,000 years ago, this ancient philosophy was practiced by some of the greatest minds in history, from Roman emperors to philosophers and even modern-day leaders. Its principles are simple, yet profound, teaching that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. This shift in mindset is the foundation of true strength. Instead of reacting impulsively, Stoicism helps us develop emotional resilience, allowing us to remain steady even in the face of adversity. Think about how much of modern life feels out of control. Unexpected challenges arise at work. Relationships get complicated. Social media bombards us with negativity, and the pace of life seems to be getting faster every day. In such a chaotic world, emotions often become overwhelming. A single frustrating moment can ruin an entire day. Stress can drain energy, and anger can lead to regret. But imagine if, no matter what happened around you, you remained calm, focused, and in control. This isn't about ignoring emotions. It's about mastering them so that they work for you rather than against you. Emotional mastery is not just a skill. It's a necessity. Without it, people get caught in endless cycles of stress and reaction, constantly at the mercy of external events. With it, life becomes more manageable. Decisions become clearer, and challenges become easier to handle. Those who develop this ability don't just survive difficult times, they thrive in them. They don't waste energy worrying about what they can't change. Instead, they focus on what they can control, their thoughts, reactions, and actions. The good news is that emotional resilience isn't something you're either born with or without. It's a mindset that can be learned, strengthened, and applied in daily life. By understanding and practicing certain Stoic principles, anyone can develop the ability to stay composed under pressure, respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, and maintain a sense of peace even when things don't go as planned. These timeless lessons, passed down by Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, provide a roadmap for mastering emotions in any situation. In this journey, you will discover 10 Stoic secrets that will change the way you think about emotions. Each one is a tool that will help you gain greater self-control, shift your perspective, and build unshakable inner strength. Whether it's dealing with frustration, handling criticism, overcoming fear, or staying calm in a crisis, these principles will give you the power to navigate life's challenges with confidence. While external events will always be unpredictable, your ability to manage your emotions doesn't have to be. The mind is the one thing you truly have power over, and once you harness that power, you will find a level of strength and peace that no external event can shake. Imagine two people facing the same problem. One sees it as a disaster, the other as a challenge to overcome. The situation is identical, yet their reactions are completely different. Why? because our emotions are not created by what happens to us, but by how we interpret those events. This is the power of perception, and mastering it can change the way you experience life. Every day, thoughts shape emotions in ways most people don't even realize. A small mistake at work might trigger feelings of frustration or self-doubt, while someone else might see it as a chance to improve. A delayed flight could lead to anger and impatience, or it could be seen as unexpected free time to relax. The event itself is neutral. It's the meaning we attach to it that determines our emotional response. This is why two people in the same situation can feel completely different emotions, because their perception creates their reality. Imagine you work hard on a project, but your boss criticizes it instead of praising your efforts. The automatic reaction might be disappointment or even anger, thinking you failed. But what if, instead of seeing it as failure, you viewed it as feedback? What if you took it as an opportunity to improve, to grow, to refine your skills? The situation hasn't changed, but your perspective has. And suddenly, what felt like a negative experience becomes something valuable. This simple shift in thinking can reduce stress, build confidence, and make you more resilient to setbacks. Cognitive reframing is the practice of consciously changing how you interpret events, and it's one of the most effective ways to control emotions. It starts with awareness, paying attention to the thoughts that arise when something happens. Instead of letting your mind immediately jump to negativity, pause and ask yourself, is there another way to look at this? What can I learn from this? Will this matter a week, a month, or a year from now? These questions create mental space, allowing you to choose a more balanced, productive response instead of reacting on impulse. A simple exercise to strengthen this habit is keeping a thought journal. Whenever something bothers you, write down what happened, what you felt, and what thoughts led to those emotions. Then, challenge those thoughts. Was your reaction based on facts or assumptions? Could there be another explanation? With practice, this process becomes automatic, and you start naturally reframing situations before they trigger negative emotions. Another way to apply reframing is through language. The words you use in your mind influence how you feel. Instead of saying, "I have to deal with this problem," try, "I have a chance to solve this challenge." Instead of, "I failed," say, "I learned something valuable." These small shifts change the emotional weight of a situation, making even difficult moments easier to handle. Life will always bring unexpected setbacks, obstacles, and disappointments, but by mastering the power of perception, you gain control over how those moments affect you. No one can take away your ability to choose how you see things. And when you shift your mindset from seeing problems to seeing possibilities, you unlock a level of emotional strength that makes you unstoppable. Imagine holding a rope that's being pulled away from you. The harder you grip, the more it burns your hands, yet you refuse to let go. This is what happens when we fight against things we cannot control. Life pulls in one direction, but our resistance creates unnecessary pain. The art of acceptance is not about giving up. It's about understanding what is within your power and what is not, so you can focus your energy where it truly matters. The Stoics had a simple yet powerful idea. Divide everything into two categories: things you can control and things you can't. Your actions, decisions, and responses, those are within your control. The weather, other people's opinions, the past, those are not. Most of our suffering comes from trying to change things that we never had power over in the first place. A delayed flight, a rude comment, an unexpected setback. None of these are under your command. Yet frustration arises when you resist reality instead of accepting it. Think about a time when something didn't go as planned. Maybe it was a missed opportunity, a failed relationship, or an outcome that felt unfair. The instinct might have been to dwell on it, replaying what happened, wishing things were different. But no amount of wishing can rewrite the past. The more you resist, the more you suffer. Acceptance is not about liking the situation. It's about freeing yourself from the mental burden of fighting against it. One way to practice acceptance is by shifting your focus. Instead of thinking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What can I do now?" This simple change in perspective moves your mind from dwelling on the uncontrollable to taking action where it actually matters. If you lose a job, worrying about the past won't change it. But focusing on what steps to take next puts you back in control. Another powerful exercise is the practice of premeditatio malorum, imagining possible setbacks before they happen. This doesn't mean expecting the worst, but rather preparing your mind so that when difficulties arise, they don't completely shake you. If you anticipate that plans might change, that people won't always act as you wish, or that life will sometimes be unpredictable, you become less affected when these things occur. Instead of reacting with frustration, you respond with calm acceptance. Letting go of control doesn't mean being passive. It means choosing where to direct your energy. You can't control how others treat you, but you can control how you respond. You can't prevent every hardship, but you can decide how to handle it. Acceptance gives you freedom, the freedom to move forward without being weighed down by what you cannot change. Life will always have moments that test your patience, disappointments that challenge your emotions, and circumstances beyond your influence. But when you embrace the art of acceptance, you stop wasting energy on resistance and start using it to build resilience. The less you fight against what you cannot control, the more peace you gain. And that is a kind of strength no one can take away from you. Imagine waking up one day and suddenly losing everything you depend on: your comfort, your conveniences, your sense of security. Would you be able to handle it, or would it break you? Most people live their lives avoiding discomfort at all costs, but the Stoics believed in facing it head-on. They practiced voluntary discomfort not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they understood a simple truth. If you train yourself to handle hardship when it's optional, you'll be unshaken when it's unavoidable. One of the most effective ways to build mental toughness is by stepping outside your comfort zone on purpose. This doesn't mean making life miserable for no reason. It means preparing your mind and body to be stronger when real challenges arise. The Stoics did this in many ways. Some would deliberately wear simple, rough clothing instead of expensive garments to remind themselves that luxury is not a necessity. Others practiced fasting, going without food for a day or more, not because they had to, but because they wanted to prove to themselves that hunger was not something to fear. These acts of controlled discomfort trained them to detach from external pleasures and find strength within. In today's world, voluntary discomfort might look different, but the principles remain the same. Taking cold showers instead of warm ones forces you to push through immediate discomfort and teaches you that you are stronger than your impulses. Fasting for a few hours or skipping a meal reminds you that hunger is not an emergency, but just a passing sensation. Choosing to live with fewer possessions for a while helps you realize that happiness is not tied to material things. These small practices build resilience, making you less reactive to stress, frustration, or fear when life throws challenges your way. The real power of voluntary discomfort is in the way it changes your relationship with hardship. When you've already trained yourself to endure discomfort, unexpected difficulties lose their grip on you. If you've practiced going without luxury, financial struggles won't shake you as much. If you've trained yourself to tolerate hunger, minor inconveniences won't ruin your day. If you've learned to sit with discomfort instead of running from it, emotional distress will no longer control you. Most people panic in the face of adversity because they have never tested their limits. But those who regularly push themselves beyond comfort develop an unshakable mindset. They understand that suffering is often just a temporary sensation, something the mind can endure and move through. The more you practice stepping into discomfort, the more you prove to yourself that you are capable of handling whatever comes. This mindset creates a kind of quiet confidence, an inner strength that no external challenge can take away from you. Life is unpredictable, and comfort is never guaranteed. But if you train yourself to be comfortable with discomfort, you will always be prepared. When difficulties arise, you won't crumble under pressure because you have already faced them on your own terms. You won't be controlled by fear because you've learned to handle uncertainty. The Stoics understood that strength is not built in easy times, but in the moments where we willingly push ourselves beyond what feels safe. And when you embrace this practice, you become someone who can remain steady no matter what life brings. Imagine waking up every morning knowing it could be your last. Would you still waste time on petty arguments, hold grudges, or stress over things that won't matter in the end? The Stoics had a simple yet powerful reminder for themselves, memento mori, which means, remember you must die. At first this may sound grim, but in reality, it is one of the most liberating ideas a person can embrace. When you accept that life is short, you stop fearing the inevitable and start focusing on what truly matters. Many people live as if they have unlimited time. They put off their dreams, delay important conversations, and allow small frustrations to consume them. But when you truly understand that every moment is fleeting, your perspective changes. Fear begins to lose its power over you. Anxiety fades because you realize that most worries are insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Even anger becomes harder to hold on to because you recognize that life is too short to waste on resentment. This mindset is not about living in fear of death, but about using its certainty as motivation. It pushes you to be more present, to appreciate the people around you, and to take action instead of procrastinating. Instead of seeing mortality as something to dread, the Stoics saw it as a guide for living better. If today were your last day, would you spend it complaining? If this were your last conversation with someone, would you waste it on bitterness or choose to express gratitude? The awareness of death brings clarity, helping you prioritize what is truly valuable. There are simple ways to integrate memento mori into daily life. One powerful practice is taking a moment each day to reflect on the fact that life is not guaranteed. This doesn't mean obsessing over death, but rather using it as a reminder to live fully. Journaling about what you would do differently if you had only a week left can help shift your focus to what truly matters. Another exercise is to keep a small object, like a coin or a piece of jewelry, as a personal reminder that time is limited. Some Stoics even visualize their own passing, not to create fear, but to cultivate gratitude for the time they still had. When you embrace memento mori, fear loses its grip. Fear of failure, rejection, or embarrassment becomes meaningless when viewed through the lens of mortality. You start taking more chances, expressing yourself honestly, and letting go of unnecessary stress. Instead of getting lost in distractions, you focus on meaningful actions. This perspective brings a sense of peace, because it reminds you that all struggles, no matter how big they seem now, are temporary. Life is unpredictable. No one knows how much time they have, but that uncertainty is exactly why every moment should be appreciated. When you remind yourself that nothing lasts forever, you stop taking things for granted. You become more patient, more grateful, and more intentional in your actions. The Stoics didn't dwell on death to be morbid. They did it to live more fully. And when you carry this awareness with you, you gain the strength to face each day with clarity, purpose, and a deep appreciation for the time you have. Imagine if you had a conversation with yourself every day, one that helped you clear your mind, understand your emotions, and find solutions to your problems. That's exactly what Marcus Aurelius did through journaling. His personal reflections, now known as meditations, were never meant to be published, yet they became one of the most powerful guides to self-discipline and emotional control. He used writing as a way to process his thoughts, remind himself of Stoic principles, and strengthen his ability to handle life's challenges with wisdom and composure. In a world full of distractions, stress, and uncertainty, emotions can feel overwhelming. Thoughts race, frustrations build, and it's easy to react impulsively. But writing things down allows you to step back, observe your mind, and respond with clarity instead of emotion. Instead of being controlled by feelings, you begin to understand them. Instead of drowning in worries, you start to organize your thoughts. This practice gives you power over yourself because it forces you to slow down and think before acting. The key to Stoic journaling is not just writing about what happened during the day, but analyzing how you responded to events and what you can learn from them. One simple approach is to reflect on 3 main points each day: what went well, what could have been handled better, and what you need to remember moving forward. This turns journaling into a tool for growth, not just a record of events. You are training your mind to see patterns in your emotions, recognize weaknesses, and actively work on becoming more resilient. To make journaling more effective, ask yourself questions that force deeper thinking. What made you upset today, and why? Was it the event itself, or was it your perception of it? Did you react based on emotion, or did you pause and think first? What beliefs are influencing your reactions, and are they helping or hurting you? These kinds of reflections help break unconscious habits, making you more self-aware and intentional with your actions. Another powerful exercise is writing from the perspective of a Stoic mentor. If Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or Epictetus were giving you advice, what would they say? This shifts your thinking away from impulsive emotions and toward wisdom. You start to approach problems with a level head, separating what is in your control from what is not. You stop complaining and start looking for solutions. Consistency is key. Writing just a few sentences each morning or evening can have a profound effect on your mindset. It serves as a mental reset, a way to realign yourself with the values and principles that matter most. Over time, this practice builds emotional discipline. Instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, you develop the ability to pause, reflect, and choose the best response. Journaling is not just about recording thoughts. It's about shaping them. It's a conversation with yourself that strengthens your mind, helping you navigate life with greater. Imagine waking up each day with the mindset that no matter what happens, good or bad. It is exactly what was meant for you. Instead of resisting difficulties, you welcome them. Instead of wishing things were different, you learn from every situation. This is the essence of amor fati, a concept embraced by the Stoics, which means love of fate. It is more than just accepting life's challenges. It is about embracing them fully, seeing them as opportunities rather than setbacks. Most people spend their lives resisting reality, frustrated by things they cannot change. A delay in plans, a lost opportunity, a personal failure. These moments often lead to stress, anger, or regret. But what if, instead of fighting against these experiences, you could see them as gifts? The Stoics believed that everything in life, even suffering, has value. It is not the events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. When you choose to see every challenge as a lesson, every failure as a stepping stone, and every hardship as a chance to grow, you become unshakable. History is filled with people who turned obstacles into fuel for greatness. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, faced wars, betrayals, and a deadly plague during his reign. Yet he saw every hardship as a test of character. Instead of complaining, he used these challenges to strengthen his wisdom and leadership. Epictetus, a former slave, could have been consumed by resentment, but instead he used his experiences to develop deep philosophical insights, teaching that true freedom comes from within. These men did not just endure suffering, they transformed it into something meaningful. Shifting from resistance to acceptance requires a change in mindset. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "How can I use this?" This small shift changes everything. If you lose a job, it might be the push you need to find a better path. If a relationship ends, it could be a chance to rediscover yourself. If plans fall apart, maybe something even better is waiting. Nothing in life is inherently good or bad. It is how you choose to view it. To cultivate amor fati, start by welcoming small inconveniences rather than resenting them. If you get stuck in traffic, instead of getting frustrated, use the time to think, breathe, or listen to something that enriches your mind. If plans change unexpectedly, treat it as an opportunity to adapt. The more you practice this mindset in small moments, the easier it becomes to apply it to bigger challenges. Writing down past struggles and how they led to unexpected benefits can also reinforce this way of thinking. Many times, what seemed like a disaster in the moment turned out to be exactly what we needed. By reflecting on this, you train your mind to see challenges differently, building resilience for future hardships. Loving your fate does not mean being passive or giving up on improvement. It means trusting that whatever happens is part of your journey, meant to shape you into a stronger, wiser person. When you stop resisting and start embracing everything that comes your way, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. Every obstacle becomes a tool for growth. Every hardship becomes a chance to rise above. This is the power of amor fati, not just accepting life as it is, but loving it completely. Imagine waking up tomorrow and everything you take for granted is gone. Your job, your home, your loved ones, your health. What if they were no longer there? At first, this might seem like a dark or depressing thought, but for the Stoics, this practice was one of the most powerful ways to build resilience and appreciation for life. This is called negative visualization, the act of mentally preparing for worst-case scenarios so that when difficulties arise, they do not shake you. Instead, you are ready. Most people live in fear of loss, uncertainty, and change. They worry about things going wrong, and in doing so, suffer twice. once in their imagination, and again if misfortune actually happens. But when you intentionally visualize potential hardships, you take control of this fear. You make the unknown familiar, so that if something does go wrong, it does not hit as hard. The Stoics believed that by imagining the loss of what we love, we develop deeper gratitude for it in the present. When you truly understand that nothing is guaranteed, every ordinary moment becomes extraordinary. This exercise also stops overreaction. Many people panic when life throws unexpected challenges their way. A job loss feels like the end of the world. A failed project seems like a catastrophe. But if you have already considered these possibilities, you respond with clarity rather than panic. Seneca, a famous Stoic philosopher, advised imagining poverty, exile, or loss, so that if they ever came, they would not be as frightening. If you have already seen yourself adapting to a difficult situation in your mind, facing it in reality becomes much easier. Practicing negative visualization does not mean constantly expecting disaster or being pessimistic. It is about mentally strengthening yourself so that nothing takes you by surprise. To apply this in daily life, take a few moments each day to consider something valuable in your life, and imagine just for a moment that it is no longer there. This does not have to be dramatic, just a small exercise in awareness. Picture losing access to something you rely on, like your phone or the internet, and think about how you would cope. Imagine a delay in your plans or an unexpected obstacle in your day. When these small disruptions actually happen, you will be less irritated because you have already prepared for them. You can also use this technique for bigger concerns. If you fear losing your job, visualize what you would do if it happened. Would you look for a new one? Learn a new skill? Adjust your lifestyle? If you worry about a major personal loss, consider how you would support yourself emotionally. Thinking through these situations does not make them more likely to happen, but it makes you stronger if they ever do. Another way to apply this is by writing down different scenarios that you fear and then listing ways you could handle them. This transforms fear into a plan. Instead of feeling powerless, you feel capable. The mind, when left unchecked, can spiral into fear and worry. But when you guide your thoughts intentionally, you regain control. The beauty of negative visualization is that it not only prepares you for difficulties, but also enhances your appreciation for life as it is. When you recognize that everything you have is temporary, you stop taking it for granted. The people around you, the comforts of daily life, even the smallest joys become more precious. This mindset shifts you from complaining about what you lack to cherishing what you have. By practicing this regularly, you create a mind that is unshaken by uncertainty. When trouble comes, you are not caught off guard. And when life is good, you enjoy it even more. Instead of fearing the worst, you become prepared for anything, turning fear into wisdom and uncertainty into strength. Imagine if you could control every impulse, every craving, every emotional reaction that tries to pull you away from your goals. How much stronger, calmer, and more in control would you feel? This is the power of self-discipline, a skill that separates those who are ruled by their emotions from those who rule over them. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes not from giving in to every desire, but from mastering them. When you have self-discipline, you are no longer a slave to impulses, distractions, or fleeting emotions. You act based on reason, not impulse, and this is what leads to true emotional control. Most people struggle with self-discipline because they let their emotions dictate their actions. They feel tired, so they skip their responsibilities. They feel bored, so they turn to distractions. They feel frustrated, so they lash out. But emotions should not be the master. They should be the servant. The moment you start making decisions based on your values, rather than how you feel in the moment, you take control of your life. This does not mean ignoring emotions, but rather learning to act despite them. One of the most effective ways to develop self-discipline is to pause before reacting. When you feel tempted to indulge in something that does not serve you, whether it is procrastination, unhealthy habits, or emotional outbursts, take a breath. Give yourself a moment to think. Ask yourself, is this action leading me toward the person I want to become? Most temptations lose their power when you create space between impulse and action. This small habit of pausing can change everything. Another way to strengthen self-discipline is by setting small, daily challenges. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort, choosing to go without pleasures occasionally so they would not become dependent on them. You can do the same by training yourself to resist small temptations. Skip a favorite indulgence for a day. Wake up earlier than you feel like. Push yourself to complete a task, even when motivation is low. The more you train yourself to resist small urges, the stronger your ability to control bigger impulses becomes. Discipline is also about focus. In a world filled with distractions, staying committed to what truly matters is rare. Many people start things but never finish because they let distractions take over. To develop stronger focus, remove unnecessary temptations from your environment. If you struggle with wasting time on your phone, keep it away while working. If unhealthy foods tempt you, don't keep them within reach. If negative emotions easily pull you into arguments, avoid unnecessary conflicts. Discipline is not just about willpower. It is about creating an environment where self-control becomes the default. Practicing self-restraint leads to a powerful sense of peace. Many think that freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want. But the truth is, people who chase every pleasure, every comfort, and every impulse often feel the most restless. Their minds are constantly pulled in different directions, never satisfied. Real peace comes from knowing that you are in control, that nothing outside of you can shake your stability. When you can say no to distractions, to anger, to mindless indulgence, you gain something far greater: inner strength. Self-discipline is not about making life harder. It is about making yourself stronger. It is about proving to yourself every day that you have control over your actions, no matter how you feel in the moment. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes. Over time, you develop an unshakable mindset, one that does not crumble under stress, does not get lost in distractions, and does not surrender to momentary pleasures. This is the foundation of true emotional control. When you master your impulses, you master your life. Imagine walking through life with a steady mind, making decisions not just for yourself, but for the greater good. Stoicism is not just about controlling emotions. It is about living with purpose, integrity, and virtue. A truly strong person is not one who isolates themselves in self-mastery, but one who aligns their actions with principles that benefit both themselves and those around them. Emotional control is not just about avoiding anger or sadness. It is about having the wisdom to act with justice, the courage to face challenges, the temperance to resist extremes, and the strength to do what is right even when it is difficult. Virtue is the foundation of emotional stability. When your actions align with strong principles, you do not feel guilt, regret, or inner conflict. You know you have done what is right, regardless of external circumstances. Wisdom helps you understand what is truly important and what is not worth your energy. Courage gives you the strength to endure hardships without losing yourself. Justice ensures that your actions are fair and honest, which builds trust and peace within. Temperance prevents you from being ruled by impulses, keeping your emotions balanced. When you practice these virtues, you naturally gain emotional control because your decisions come from reason rather than fleeting feelings. However, maintaining virtue and emotional resilience is not something to do alone. The people around you play a major role in shaping your mindset. If you surround yourself with those who constantly complain, blame others, and act without discipline, it becomes easy to fall into the same patterns. But if you are among those who are thoughtful, self-aware, and committed to growth, their energy influences you in the best way. The Stoics believed that wisdom and emotional strength grow through connection with the right people. Conversations with those who value reason and integrity sharpen your thinking. Observing someone handle challenges with patience and self-control teaches you to do the same. The right company strengthens your resilience, while the wrong company weakens it. A strong community also provides support during difficult times. No one is immune to hardship, and there will be moments when emotions feel overwhelming. Having people who uplift you, remind you of your principles, and guide you back to reason is invaluable. The Stoics believed in contributing to society, not just for personal gain, but because being part of something greater than oneself brings meaning and perspective. When you focus on how your actions affect others, your emotions become more stable. Minor frustrations lose their power when you are working towards something bigger than your temporary feelings. This does not mean relying on others for validation or letting them control your emotions. Emotional strength comes from within, but having a supportive environment helps reinforce it. If you want to develop stronger emotional control, seek out those who encourage self-discipline, wisdom, and patience. Be mindful of the influences you allow into your life. Choose relationships that align with your values, and let go of those that pull you away from the person you want to be. Stoicism teaches that self-mastery is not just about personal gain. It is about being a force of good in the world. When you develop emotional resilience, you become someone others can rely on. You become the person who stays calm in chaos, who acts with integrity even when it is difficult, who uplifts those around them through example. The more you commit to virtue, the more stable and unshakable you become. In the end, true emotional control is not just about yourself. It is about creating a life of wisdom, strength, and meaning, one that benefits not only you but everyone you encounter. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, with strong winds howling around you and chaos unfolding in every direction. Most people would panic, react, or try to fight against the force of nature. But what if instead of struggling, you remain still, calm, centered, and unmoved by the storm? This is the essence of inner peace. In life, storms come in many forms: stress, conflict, uncertainty, and emotional turmoil. But true strength is not found in controlling the storm. It is found in controlling yourself within it. The Stoics believed that stillness was the key to emotional mastery. It is not about physically stopping, but about quieting the mind. When emotions are running high, when problems seem overwhelming, the natural reaction is to act impulsively, to say something in anger, or to let fear dictate decisions. But emotions settle when the mind is still, just like a pond becomes clear when it is undisturbed. Stillness creates space between a stimulus and your reaction, allowing wisdom to guide your actions rather than temporary feelings. Cultivating inner peace is not about avoiding life's difficulties. It is about training the mind to remain steady regardless of what happens. This means letting go of the need to control everything, accepting the present moment as it is, and choosing not to be ruled by external chaos. In any situation, you have two choices. You can let the outside world dictate your emotions, or you can take charge of your mind and remain centered. Peace is not something that is given. It is something that is built through practice. One way to develop this stillness is through mindfulness. This means being fully present, not lost in worries about the future or regrets about the past. Simply focusing on your breath, observing your thoughts without judgment, and grounding yourself in the now can create a sense of calm that no external situation can shake. Another practice is deliberate silence, taking time each day to step away from noise, distractions, and constant input. When you sit in silence, you learn to listen to your thoughts, recognize unnecessary worries, and train your mind to be still. Journaling is another powerful tool for inner peace. Writing down your thoughts helps clear mental clutter, process emotions, and gain perspective. Instead of reacting emotionally in the moment, taking time to reflect allows you to respond with wisdom. Meditation, even for a few minutes a day, also strengthens mental clarity. Simply sitting quietly, observing your breath, and letting go of thoughts that come and go builds the ability to stay calm, even in difficult situations. Life will always bring challenges, but emotional stability is built by practicing stillness daily. When you wake up, instead of reaching for distractions, take a moment to be present. Before reacting to a stressful situation, take a deep breath and allow yourself a pause. In moments of frustration, remind yourself that peace is a choice. The more you practice, the stronger this ability becomes. Over time, you will notice that situations that once triggered stress or anger no longer have the same effect. You will begin to move through life with a quiet strength, untouched by things that once disturbed you. Stillness does not mean passivity. It does not mean ignoring problems or becoming indifferent. It means approaching life with a clear mind, responding instead of reacting, and maintaining control over yourself no matter what happens. True power is not in dominating others or winning battles. It is in mastering your own emotions. When you cultivate inner peace, you become the calm in the storm, the person who does not break under pressure, the one who sees clearly while others are blinded by emotion. This is the ultimate Stoic secret to emotional control. Strength not from force, but from stillness. When you cultivate inner peace through stillness, you unlock the ability to control your emotions rather than being controlled by them. This is what the Stoics mastered, and it is why their wisdom still applies today. Emotional strength is not about suppressing feelings or pretending to be unaffected by life's difficulties. It is about training the mind to respond with clarity instead of reacting impulsively. Every principle discussed leads back to this one idea: true power comes from within. Reframing your mindset shifts the way you perceive the world. Instead of seeing problems as obstacles, you see them as opportunities to grow. Acceptance teaches you to let go of what is outside your control, so that you can focus your energy where it truly matters. Practicing voluntary discomfort builds resilience, making you stronger in the face of challenges. Memento mori reminds you that life is short, and that wasting time on anger, fear, or regret is a choice. Journaling allows you to reflect on your thoughts, giving you insight into your own mind and emotions. Amor Fati helps you embrace whatever happens, turning hardships into strength rather than allowing them to break you. Negative visualization prepares you for anything, reducing fear and helping you face uncertainty with confidence. Self-discipline strengthens your ability to resist impulses, keeping you focused on what truly matters. Living with virtue ensures that your actions align with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, giving your life a sense of meaning and direction. And finally, stillness ties everything together, allowing you to remain unshaken no matter what happens around you. All of these Stoic practices work together to build emotional mastery. They are not just abstract ideas, but tools that can be used in daily life. Whether it is a difficult conversation, an unexpected setback, or a moment of frustration, these principles help you navigate life with calmness and control. The first step is simple. Choose one practice and apply it. Whether it is journaling for 5 minutes a day, pausing before reacting to a stressful situation, or reminding yourself to accept what you cannot change. Small actions lead to powerful transformation. Most people go through life letting their emotions dictate their actions, reacting to every challenge with frustration, fear, or anxiety. But those who master their emotions master their lives. The difference between feeling powerless and feeling in control is not the situation itself. It is how you choose to respond. The more you apply these Stoic principles, the more unshakable you become. You will begin to notice that what once caused stress no longer affects you the same way. You will stop wasting energy on things beyond your control and focus on what truly matters. Over time, you will move through life with a quiet confidence, unaffected by the noise of the world. In the end, emotional control is not about becoming numb or indifferent. It is about developing the strength to remain steady in any situation. It is about having the clarity to make wise decisions rather than reacting impulsively. It is about living with purpose rather than being led by fleeting emotions. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. If you want to master your emotions, master your mind.